So welcome everyone to Cultivators, a community of changemakers and innovators. We're so excited to have you join us for our first Cultivator Spotlight, a series highlighting the wonderful community members' journey as they are changemakers in their organizations. So excited to have everyone here, and I'm gonna send it off to Cultivators founder, Steve, to get things going.
Excellent. Thanks, Melissa. So our goal for these cultivator spotlights is really just get a chance to get to know some of our cultivators a little bit better. I feel like sometimes there's only so much you can do in Slack, and I know some of our community members have some pretty remarkable stories. There's a number of different ways you could try to bifurcate or segment our community members, but one of the ways that I sometimes think about them is we have some people who are actively pursuing one idea they really want to make happen in their organization. We have some people who are working to just actively try to change their whole organization. And then we have some people who are trying to do maybe both of those, which Freddie might fit into. But I'm excited over the next 25 minutes or so to get to just hear a little bit more of Freddie's story. So throughout, if you have questions, you can type them into chat. I'm going to ignore those until the end. So I'm going to save them until the end and give you some time for that. And so we're going to get started. It is my pleasure to get to introduce Freddie Spotser. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Cool. So I guess my first question, Freddie, is in your Slack intro, I love it, short and sweet. And you said, I'm Freddie Spotser and I have many passions right now. And so I just wanted to start with what are some of your passions right now? What are some of the things that you're passionate about, things that are on your mind?
Well, I'm trying to be healthier. It's so hard during this time because food is calling my name every minute. And I'm losing that battle, but I'm trying really hard. But I'm passionate about that, but I'm trying to be healthy for me and my husband, cooking a lot, getting exercise, fresh air, doing all of that. Making sure that I'm still connected at work, just through this pandemic, trying to do everything on the computer. I'm old school. I'm used to having paper in my hands. I'm used to being able to look at my stuff and not have to do everything on the computer. So that's been an adjustment for me. We're having conversations at work that we're calling open conversations, and we did that every day with Joan, as you know, Buccigrosi. And I am so committed to talking about race and injustice right now until it's a lot of pressure in a way, because I want to make sure that I do my part to make people understand what's going on and why it's important. So that has kind of, on many forums, been something that I've just taken over. So
I mean, what about those conversations, or what makes some of those conversations most productive, I guess? Because I would imagine in some cases they can be draining or burdensome, right, if not approached correctly. So what are some of your thoughts on that?
I think it's important in those types of conversations for people to feel like they can share things. And I really have to check myself, because I can go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. And I don't want to do that, because I really want people to learn. I really want people to understand and not feel like they're attacked by what they might say innocently. And I've encouraged people, the first message that I got from someone about what was going on was from you. And it touched my heart so strongly, what you said, and how it was just written with the intent of saying, I'm here if you need something. Until that caused me to reach out to other friends of mine who happen to be Caucasian and say, why haven't you checked on me? Because my good friend Steve checked on me. Why haven't you? Why haven't you reached out to me? And they were shocked, first of all, that I even said something, but they were glad that I did. And I'm glad that I did. But it was, if I'm your friend and we're close and this stuff that's going on is going on right now, you should be reaching out. And I always tell people that intent is more important than eloquence. I don't care if you don't say everything right, or if you say it in such a way that it doesn't sound exactly politically correct or color correct or whatever. I can see your heart if I know you, and I want you to say something to me. And it's made me even think about the ways that I reach out to people. I may not have the right things to say, but I just, if my heart's in the right place, I feel like you're going to hear me. And I think that's what has made a difference on these calls, because people are saying things that they have never said before out loud, that they have never had a chance to even really develop thoughts about. And if they do that, then that's going to be better for everyone.
So if someone who's watching this did feel like, oh, I want to reach out to one of my Black friends, one of my Black colleagues, but I feel like I don't know what to say, like, what would be your advice to that person?
I would say to them, very much in the way that you said to me, I'm thinking about you right now. Um, I want you to know I care. I want you to know I can listen to you, because what this has done for me is it has brought up so many stories about things that I thought I had forgotten, about issues that I didn't think about anymore because they were very painful for me, about things that my father told me, about things in my family, about injustices um, that I now am thinking about and trying to find out how to deal with those things again. And I think as a person who reaches out to a person of color, you should tell them that you're open to listening if they have things that have happened to them. You know, I've had it both ways. I've had someone else reach out to me and tell me that they didn't believe that racism was a thing, that they needed to see statistics and they needed to understand better because they're not racist. So it doesn't look like there is racism that exists. And it's like, that's exhausting, but I had the conversation and I wanted to have that conversation with them just so that they would feel comfortable saying those things, even though I didn't agree with them. So there has to be some give and take on both sides, but it needs to start with people who have not experienced racism, reaching out to people who have, and understanding that their experiences are real.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. We could certainly take up our time on this topic, which I think is very important, and I think it's good that we're having these conversations. We should continue to have them in our community. I think because we want to learn more about you and some of your change journey, right? Like, I'd love to just maybe talk a little bit about, like, hey, like, what do you do? So it says senior scientist. What's that? Like, what does Freddie do?
Well, the title is Senior Scientist / iBank Specialist. And so I am the person who connects with agencies throughout the United States to get research tissue for our projects in eye care. So we're an eye care company. We need to study how our devices and our medications will react in the human eye. And when people pass away, if their tissue is not going to be used for transplant or things that will enhance or provide sight for other individuals, then families may choose to donate their loved one's eye tissue for research. And so I'm the person who coordinates all that, makes sure that tissue is correct for what the project is. And I've done that for the last 10 years at my current job. Before that, I was in the donation and transplant field.
So it's safe to say you're an expert in this field because you've been doing it for some time.
I don't know. I feel like there's always something I can learn.
Most people who are experts but never call themselves experts, just like heroes, right? So when we came into contact with each other, when we met, was it about maybe 2 years ago at this point-ish?
Yes.
And it was with regards to an idea that you had as it related to your work.
Yes. I know that working in the field of transplant and donation that memorials were very often at agencies of donation and transplant. So a memorial honoring donor families, honoring donors was pretty commonplace at places that were eye banks or tissue agencies or organ transplant agencies. And I thought, well, why can't we have one at Alcon? Because we're also benefiting from this gift that people are giving, and we should be we should show that that means something to us. And so I looked to see if there was anything like that at a company like ours or any pharmaceutical company. I couldn't find anything. I didn't see anything. And so instead of thinking, oh, well, man, we should be the first ones to do it, I thought, probably not a good idea. It's already been shot down. Don't do that. So.
And so you had this idea. So your job is to receive this donor tissue. It's also a very heavy job, right? To be working with people who have passed away and all, or people whose family members have passed away. But you had this idea that seems as an outsider fairly straightforward. Oh, we should create a memorial on our massive, lavish campus that
Right.
honors and acknowledges these people, right?
Right.
But your first reaction was, oh, nobody's done it before. No, not happening.
Right. That was my first thought, because I am not the person I don't see myself as a person who goes forward with things when no one else has done them. So that just wasn't me, and I didn't see that as something that I was capable of carrying out. I didn't think I had the skills. I didn't think I had the way to convince anyone that we should do that. I just didn't see it as something that I could do well, if at all.
And if we're on a timeline, like when-ish did you have this first kindling of the idea?
I would say that was probably in 2015.
Okay.
And yeah.
And so then, walk us through. So then you initially, you have the idea. You think, okay, that's not me. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know what happens next. What kind of happens in the time?
So I had the idea. I thought about it. I like I say in the TEDx talk, I put it back to sleep because I have lots of ideas I don't act on. And I met someone who had been a donor mom whose child had passed away, and she had donated her child's tissue for research. And I thought, wow, would a memorial at a company like ours, and his tissue had gone to companies like research companies, and I wondered, would that make any difference to her that someone would have that to honor those families and to honor her child? And she said yes. And that gave me the courage to speak on it, because I met a real life person. I don't know any of the donors that we've gotten, our tissue from, who have supported us, but meeting her and knowing that she had gone through that and that it would be important gave me the courage. I used her courage to do what I needed to do.
And that's intentional, right? That you don't know them. There's always anonymity as part of the
Right.
brand. So
That's right.
you get to meet someone, you get some feedback from her that kind of validates your idea that, like, oh, that would be meaningful. And this is roughly when, in what year-ish?
That was in 2016.
Okay, so now you've had this kind of going for a year. Now you feel this glimmer of like, ooh, there could be something here. And
Yes.
so then what happens?
Then because I met her at a meeting, and it was a national meeting, and I came back to work and I slipped the idea into one of my meeting with my managers, and it wasn't on the agenda. I just said, well, let me just try this. And they actually thought it was good. And I started getting more momentum to talk about it more and see if I could get other people to think it was okay, and I did. And I ended up presenting it to my whole group, my whole department, and they were crying and thinking that it was great and understanding what, my passion was about that. And I was on cloud nine. I couldn't believe it. But when I was put in the direction to present it to some other people who are in higher up positions, there were some people who said, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's a great thing to do. And it's no big deal. And so I kind of got knocked off my block a little bit, but I had people asking me about it. When are you going to do that? Are you still going to do that? And so that kind of made me get back up and decide to try again.
And I'm hearing a few things there, right? The latter point you just made was almost this, like, the fact I shared it with people, now there's this accountability mechanism of people being like, come on, Freddie, like, what's up with this, right? Like, if you don't make it happen now, it's like, oh, crap. Like, like that, which is kind of interesting. The other thing, it sounds like the first time you shared it, and this isn't always the case, right? But the first time you shared it, you were so worried that it was going to be a negative reaction that first time. But the fact that it was a very positive reaction that first time helped give you a lot of momentum, right?
It really did. And it was shocking because I had no idea that it would be accepted on that first time. And you know, in retrospect, I've thought about it because I thought, it really took someone else to make me feel like I should share it at all. It took someone totally outside of my circle, someone I didn't know. And I thought, that's pretty bad that you had to do it because of someone else. But then I've since been told, and someone told me that, ideas that you have that are not inclusive of other people who help you are not as great as they could be. And I've thought about that, and I think that's so true. You can't do stuff like that that's really great by yourself. And you shouldn't expect to. And so that has given me a sense of how I want to deal with other ideas I have going forward.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that also relates to one of the things we know to be true about action, right? That, like, easier to act on other people's ideas than it is our own. And
Right.
so I think similarly, when you talk about that like it took someone else, so often we're so focused on our own ideas and our own fears. But like,
Yes.
if we could pull that out of other people, then we think about kind of what we can help them make happen. And I'm going to get back to that because I know you've been doing that. But take us back to the story. So you're in now, like, 2016, maybe 2017, you're getting some mixed signals, right? Some people who are yes, some people I don't know. Then
Yes.
what?
Then I kept going, and I had a lot of help from my VP and my manager. Actually, I changed managers in that time. And my new manager was actually a corneal transplant recipient. And so it was very helpful because he knew exactly what this world was about donation and how important it was. And they got me a meeting with the head of all of R&D to talk about the idea. And in the meantime, there had been other people who helped me get a design and all of these things. And so when we got to the global head, he was shocked because he couldn't understand how I had done all this in the background, and who was gonna do if you have a program and donation and a ceremony that you donate, that is dedicated, a dedication ceremony, who's gonna do it? I was like, I am. I mean, who else? I don't even know. I was like, I'm gonna do everything. And so he said, oh, wow. And he couldn't believe it, but he wanted everything. He went ahead and presented the whole thing to our executive leadership team, and they loved it. And we thought it was going to happen in 2017. At the last minute, some things got turned around. So we got more people on board, and it ended up happening in 2018.
And so this has now happened. There is this, right? Freddie has sent me some pictures. I was just going to share real quick, like, kind of talk to us about what we're looking at here.
So this is one of the most beautiful spots on campus, which I chose to place the memorial. It is in the shape of an eye. The architect who, designer who made it, um, totally took my vision and made it something real. It's near water, which most memorials that you'll find are near water. They have a water feature. Um, the CEO was at this ceremony along with the young lady who inspired me, and she came and talked about. She's standing right next to me. She came and talked about her experience, and the CEO is next to her. The head of uh, global R&D is next to him, and my manager and the head of the iBank Association of America was there. And it just became such an incredible experience for me. And really thinking about the fact that we had honored these people who are deceased, but whose families are still alive, to let them know that the decision they made on the day of their loved one's death was important and it meant something.
And so I want to get to, questions, because I know there have been some coming in, but I guess like if we kind of lift out of the story and think about, you already mentioned a couple things throughout as you were telling it, but like what would be lessons or things that you would share with someone else now who's in a position feeling like, man, yeah, that's easy, but like I'm in a big company that's complex and it's hard and my idea is uniquely difficult. Like, what would you say to that person?
I would say that you should hold on to your idea and really seek out people who might be able to help you. Seek out allies, seek out people who, um, you know, maybe are not at the highest point, but who are your peers. I wish I had done that now, because when I did have an opportunity to speak to my peers, they were so on board. They were sending me all kinds of pictures of monuments and things that they thought would be great. They were so ready to step in and help. And that opened a door in me that I will not ever be able to close now, because I just feel like I have this idea and I'm going to do it, and I have that idea and I want to do that, and even with the TEDx and everything, it's just, I never saw myself as this person. That's why when when Melissa sent out when on the registration it says ask the speaker a question, I said, who do you think you are? Because I didn't think I was this person. I'm like, who are you? But now I am. I'm like, I have things that mean something, and I'm going to keep trying. I've had other ideas that I've shared that uh, didn't go, but so I don't care. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it. And I feel like I'm in such a great position to encourage other people to do that, just not to give up, just to keep going. And it sounds kind of cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad we're doing this, because this is the thing that's tough to get over Slack of just, hey, I'm this person and whatever. Like, getting these stories from our community members, I think, is so valuable. I think we could probably take one or two, from chat, but then Freddie kindly said she would also, answer more. I guess maybe one more question from me that I'd be curious to know is, like, you mentioned kind of, so since you've made this idea happen, as you said, you gave a TEDx talk at your internal TEDx, program at TEDx Alcon, which turned you into this celebrity in the company, right? That people are, hey, I know Freddie, you look at her, she's great, right? But like, what have you been up to since then, in terms of, you mentioned like you've been coaching other people, or other people come to you with ideas? Like, I guess, how are you now acting as an empowered change maker, in Alcon? What are some things you're doing?
I'm very careful because of what I went through, when people tell me things that they are thinking about. I really never want to dampen somebody's enthusiasm or make sure that I want to be an encourager so much until I probably go out of my way to do that. And so I have people all the time reaching out to me. We had a call with someone who wants to do some things in Fort Worth recently. She reached out to me and said, "I know you'll help me," and I love that because I will, and I want to. Um, I think also, helping people feel like they could do a TEDx talk. That was the furthest thing from my mind. When she first asked me to do it, I said no. I was like, that's not me. I really don't want to do that. I went through so much trying to get ready for that. Thank God for you, because you helped me get to a place by, writing down so many of my ideas about what that should look like and guiding me to do that. Until now, I'm like, you should, if anybody comes to me and says, should I do one or should I try to do that? Of course you should, or something else, whatever it is. That's TEDx isn't the only thing you can do, but it's like, there's no reason for us not to do the things that we want to do. And I'm still telling myself that, because there's some other areas that I want to go into that I'm trying to psych myself up for, because I'm not even sure that I'm ready to do it, but I'm going to. I'm going to, I promise you, because I just feel like I can. Why can't I?
Awesome. And really that's the spirit of the cultivator communities. Hopefully we can be helping each other on these things. And maybe I'll ask that last question. I saw some questions came in here. I'm going to ask if you can share them on Slack, then Freddie will, take some time and answer. But I think selfishly, with just 2 minutes left, I kind of want to ask you this last one of like, what could the cultivator community best do to support you moving forward as you think about wanting to make more ideas happen, or whatever it is you're trying to do?
Well, I'm so excited to have a community like this. I think this is amazing. This is like idea and encouragement central. I think it's something that uh, people should be able to say what their ideas are, or what they're working on, or what they are thinking about. And I think we should hold each other accountable to check in on each other and say, "Oh my God, yes, you should," or "Tell me more about that," or is there some way, figure out a way, some way that you could help someone to realize that idea or that dream or that whatever it is. Because again, people doing things by themselves in a vacuum is just not as great as it could be without a bunch of people, or even at least one other person helping. So I'm excited for this community. I don't know of anything else like it, so I'm excited to be a part of it, and I will try to do my part to make sure that I encourage other people who are having ideas or thinking about things.
Well, thank you so much, Freddie. Really appreciate your willingness to take the time. Our first Cultivator Spotlight, just getting to showcase one of the stories, it makes me think all the people we have in the community right now, all the different stories we have, there's a lot of potential there. So thank you everyone so much. I'll hand off to Melissa real quick for just a final couple seconds, but thank you everyone for participating.
All right, thank you so much, Freddie and Steve, for this wonderful, amazing story time. I think that I've learned a lot. I was like frantically taking notes because this is like so yummy. And I also shared in the chat the link to the discussion where we will continue on. So thank you so much for making that time. I will say, I know online events is a little different than in person. So what I'm doing is I'm going to unmute everyone, and we're just going to do a round of applause for Steve and Freddie. So if you can, now you're able to unmute yourself. And then we're just going to do a hand clap. Thank you so much.
Woohoo!
Thank
So much for
you.
sharing your story. And please, if you know anyone else that has an incredible story like Freddie, who maybe a little bit more on the shy side, please let me know. And if you have any fun ideas for what you would like to see for the cultivator community, please let me know. You can always search me by my name, also with a community manager. And we hope to see you next time at our next event in 2 weeks. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy.
Thank you.